few things. First of all, I want you to know that the base as you walk, it looks like completely recovered, like almost nothing really happened. Believe me, on October 7th, it was a chaos. But the Southern District had so many tasks. We had so many tasks that we didn't even imagine that we would have to deal with, because the Homefront Command is responsible for all the civilian aid, but also whenever there is a vacuum, like there's a task to do and you don't know who's supposed to do it, it's the Homefront Command that does that. So we had 1,500 bodies that we had to clear from the roads. That was the Homefront Command who did that. Terrorists, and of course the bodies of our deads. We had cars, which you're going to see later on. Thousands of cars that were actually burned and attacked that we have to clear from the roads. And that was the Homefront Command who did that. We had to make sure that everybody has shelters. And even the Bedouins, which is the Arabic community who lives with no real homes, they live in like shacks. We had to make sure that they have protection. That was the Homefront Command. We had endless number of tasks, and we had to do it all from here. So the first task was to make sure that this base can now operate. It took 48 hours to bring it back to a position where it can operate. It had to recruit 7,000 reserve soldiers just like me, who actually had to come here. And for days, this entire area, for days, was full of terrorists. It took days to clear this area from terrorists. It wasn't just October 7th. On October 8th and 9th and 10th, there were still terrorists in this entire region. And took time to make sure that we capture, or better, kill them. So just in that context, I want you to know that this very room, and you're going to see it in the video, was attacked with an anti-tank missile. This entire room was exploded. It actually came right from that window behind you, sir.
Wow.
That window took the anti-tank missile, and there was a big explosion. We had to rebuild many places of this base. Also, all the lessons that we learned from this attack, we had to implement that. So now, after the description, you can see with your own eyes what actually happened here.
Saturday morning, October 7, 2023, Simchat Torah holiday. In a surprise combined attack, the Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad terror organizations fired thousands of missiles rockets to town, villages, and IDF bases in the Western Wall. The Gaza perimeter fence was breached by more than 3,000 terrorists on motorcycles, trucks, and parachutes, storming Israel's territory. One of their targets was Homefront Command's Southern District base in Uri.
בסוף השבוע נשארים במחוז 13 בעלי תפקידים. מפקד תורן הוא קצין בכיר, קצין תורן, 7 שוטרים ו4 סמב"ציות. באותה שבת קפץ נגד נוסף שלנו שגר באופקים בגלל התראות.
6:29 a.m. Sergeant Tamar Irish begins his shift at the armory post. Corporal Leah Benita leaves the women's quarters towards the entrance of the base. Leah and Chen were changing shifts at the base's entrance post, hear the siren, and run to take cover at the nearest mobile shelter. It is during this time that sirens are heard throughout the entire region. Captain Alina runs to the mobile shelter from the women's quarters. Sergeant Itamar joins her as he runs from the direction of the armory. The continuous alerts bring Operations Sergeants Shil, Dalit, and Lior to leave the women's quarters and join the on-duty personnel stationed at the operations room. 10 minutes pass. Sergeant Sahar Tedgi runs to the women's quarters from the operations room to wear her uniform, take supplies, and return to the operations room. Corporal Lior Levy runs to the women's quarters to help Sahar with the supplies. In addition to the massive rocket attack, 10 armed terrorists on 5 motorbikes breach the Gaza Strip perimeter fence west of Kibbutz Mogen and move eastward with a clear goal and a detailed plan to infiltrate one of the RDF bases in the south, Home Front Command's Urim base. As soon as the missile attack begins, the district commander, Colonel Sagi Baruch, decides to rush back to base all his soldiers and commanders who were on a weekend leave. At 7:19 a.m., Sergeant Major Aharon Farsh arrives at the base from his home in the town of Ofakim and joins the operations in the operations room. The terrorists approach Urim base. While driving, they shoot at vehicles moving on the road. At 7:21 a.m., the terrorists arrive at Gate 4, the back entrance at the east side of the base. They blow up the gate and enter the base from a road. Following the rocket and missile attack, a group of female soldiers enters the mobile shelter that is in the women's quarters compound. Within a short while, the female soldiers hear gunshots and understand the terrorists infiltrated the base. They decide to run to the regional command post building. Sergeant Sahar Tergi runs first. Some female soldiers follow her. The terrorists who see the female soldiers fire them from the east, killing Corporal Ophir Vivian and Corporal Lior Levy. Minutes later, Sahar arrives at the operations room, which is located in the regional command post building. Second Lieutenant Eden Ram is hit in the leg from the shooting and continues to run towards the operations room, entering the building from the east side's emergency entrance. Soldier Amit Halil is hit in the stomach and decides to return to the women's quarters with her friend, Ofri. Soldier Liel Benil, the last female soldier in the group, witnesses the shooting at her friends and decides to return to the women's quarters. The terrorists do not see her. From that moment and until the end of the battle, Liel, Amit, and Ofri are hiding underneath a bed in their room. Their lives will be saved by this act. After shooting at the female soldiers on their way to the main building, the terrorists approach the mobile shelter where Itamar Aish is staying. They shoot him and he is instantly killed.
התחלנו לשמוע שיש יריות. גם שאם אנחנו נשאר בבית הם יבואו אלינו, אז החלטנו שאנחנו רצות לחמ"ל בבת אחת ויוצאות משם. ברגע שאנחנו רצים, המחבלים רצים מאחורינו ומתחילים לירות עלינו. קיבלתי כדור ברגל שמאל. המשכתי לרוץ מטורפת, לא הסתכלתי לאחור בכלל.
Upon arriving at the operations room, Sahar and Eden contact the deputy district commander, Yaniv, and report the infiltration of terrorists and the unfolding events at the base. The deputy district commander, Yaniv, rushes army forces, including the deputy commander of Battalion 414. Forces of Battalion 414 fly a drone and identify the terrorists that infiltrated the base. The battalion's emergency squad is then called to assist.
אז אני וזאת שלי בגמית, החלטנו להשתלם בגמית. דרכתי את הנשק וכאילו הייתי מכוון לזה שיש מצב שהם ייכנסו וכאילו ובזמן הזה שומעים יריות, צעקות.
בשעה 7:40 אני בדרך למחוז בידיעה שיש אירוע של ירי רקטות וטילים בכל הגזרה. בשלב הזה מתקשרת אליי סמג"דית בחמ"ל ומדווחת לי שמזהה חדירה של 7 מחבלים למחנה. אני מתקשר אל הסמג"דית, גדוד 414 השכן ומקפיץ אותם להגיע לכאן.
While the soldiers are subjected to the Reich terror attack, commanders continue to rush to the base. Captain Dan Koifman arrives at the entrance of the base, hears a siren go off, runs towards the mobile shelter, but fails to open the gate. Sergeant Major Aharon Farge informs Captain Koifman that the base was infiltrated by terrorists. Captain Koifman is unarmed, thus decides to position himself at the back entrance of the base. Yair also arrives from home and fails to open the gate. After being informed about the current events inside, he decides to move to a back position.
בנקודה הזאת המחבלים מתפצלים לשתי כוחות. כוח אחד נשאר כאן וממתין, וכוח נוסף מתפצל ממנו, הולך לכיוון הזה, דרך מגורי הבנות ועושה סריקות בימה. אחרי שהוא מסיים סריקות בימה, חוזר חזרה וחורג לכוח שנשאר פה. אחרי החבירה של המחבלים, אחד המחבלים מגיע לכאן, מחבר RPG, ויורד מפה לכיוון החדן המחוזי. כמעין מכת אש. אחרי הירי, כל המחבלים יוצאים מפה בריצה לכיוון החמאס.
As the terrorists approach the operation room, Reserves Colonel Yuval Tujaman arrives at the base's gate. He is unable to enter. He sees that the mobile shelter at the entrance is empty. The terrorists open fire at him. Yuval, who was wounded in his side, takes shelter behind the vehicle. He manages to get into the car, to the passenger seat, and evacuates himself to seek medical treatment.
פתאום אנחנו מתחילים לשמוע יריות ופיצוצים שמתחילים לנסות לפרוץ אלינו לחמ"ל. דלת הם עברו עד שהם ממש הגיעו לדלת האחרונה. אז אני נשק אחד ולמפקדת תורנית היה עוד נשק, אז היא קיבלה את הנשק שלה והנשק שלי אני בגלל שקיבלתי כבר כדור ראשונה